Hi, everyone, and welcome to another ICA Sports and Fitness Science podcast. Today, we're joined by another one of our board members and my friend, Dr. Jon Stucky, coming at us here from Utah. And Dr. Stucky, you take care of some PGA golfing events, correct, and tournaments? Is that you go out there and take care of those golfers?
Yeah, I've been involved in that now for probably the last 10 plus years on the team of a group of chiropractors and really a multi-dimensional kind of team with physical therapists, massage therapists, a couple MDs and ATCs. So we have a good group that go after those events, mostly the US Open events. So those are the cool ones that we've been at. The senior events, the women's events, and men's.
Well, I have a fun question to ask you about taking care of professional golfers, because as you know, I take care of professional hockey players.
Sure.
And we actually all of our hockey players, because they carry the stick in a certain way. When
Uh,
we take their x-rays, you can instantly see the high and low thoracic spine curve. You can already guess if they're left or right-handed.
yeah.
Do you see anything in that when you're golfers? They come in and you get I know you're not coming to your office, you're going to them, but as you lay down and do your chiropractic examination, do you find interesting trends in the lefties and the righties?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is that 99.9 are right-handed golfers, right? There's very few left-handed golfers, but there's a few. The one thing that you do see is that because of the repetitive action that those guys have done for years and decades, some of these guys, yeah, they developed some pretty unique habits, right? And they did develop some very unique muscle patterns and muscle memory. So yeah, you definitely can see it with them for sure.
I always laugh at the hockey players because they're all about the same size and physique. It's like, well, I have one X-ray I could probably use on half the team because they all kind of look the same after a while. But I
Yeah.
imagine though golfers, it's probably not all the same physique. They're probably not all about 6 foot tall and 5% body fat, and like golfers are probably a little bit more variety there.
Yeah, you got all shapes and sizes, right? From the heavier guys to the leaner guys to the tall guys to the shorter, stockier guys. So yeah, there's a lot of different body types associated with golf. But in the last probably decade to 10, to 15 to 20 years, the golfers have really taken a pretty strong effort on what they're doing as far as their off-season training and what they're doing on a daily basis to keep themselves well, because the tour is a grueling thing. And because of the repetitive action that those guys take, these guys have now figured out that, you know what, if I take care of myself, I have a longevity in the career that I've chosen, and their ability to break down is less. So these guys are figuring it out. And so most of those guys have a pretty strong routine of exercise and activity before they even hit the golf course. These guys hit the golf course really early, like the break of dawn. They're out there hitting balls, but they've already been up a little bit, stretching and doing some routines. So it's kind of an interesting pattern that these guys have now developed and have been encouraged to do, number one, but also that they've taken very good heart to actually do.
And it's fun too. You said you're a multidisciplinary discipline area, so it must be fun for you to be able to converse with the athletic trainers and other people about what you're finding and how they can
Yeah.
relate that to what they're finding.
Yeah, and we all kind of have a team approach to it, so it's really a good group. And nobody has an ego. Everybody checks it at the door. It's not that. It's all about the athlete. And the beautiful thing about being a chiropractor in these events is that you get to be a chiropractor. You're not taping. You're not doing all this other stuff. You're actually performing your chiropractic adjustment and evaluation on these people, and which they appreciate and they want. That's the other neat thing about what we have to offer the athletic community is that it's something that nobody else is doing. And our expertise is very defined, from that perspective. We get to see elbows, we get to see wrists, we get to see shoulders, knees, all kinds of stuff in this venue. But the biggest thing that these guys want is to be evaluated neck wise, low back wise, and to see how they can improve and how that can better them. And it happens and it works really quite well, as we know, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I want to skate a little faster. I want to have a little quicker reaction time. And you guys want a little more distance, a little more accuracy on their golf drives, I'm sure.
Yep. Yep. Keep that defined motion that they've recruited so long and so hard at and defined for so long. Keeping that really working well is the aim that they want. And at the end of the day, really they want to feel good for the next round as well. So if they have issues, they've got to get them taken care of very quickly because they don't have a lot of time. Those guys, it's interesting in the US Open format, they'll come in on a Monday, they'll practice all the way till Wednesday hard, and then Thursday is game time, right? So Thursday, Friday, they got to make the cut. So if they're not making a cut, and it's really funny too, right? So the other question that we get a lot is when are you the busiest? And the busiest time is really on Wednesday, right before game time, right before they've got to start their first round. And that's the busiest time because those guys want to just fine tune everything that they're possibly might have an issue with, and they want to get it checked. And once they get it checked and they feel definite, like, hey, I'm ready to go, game time is on. And so the other thing that's interesting is that, okay, so what does it look like towards the end of the round, right? Like, the once people make the cut, what does it look like? Do those guys want to come in? It's a very superstitious kind of thing as well. So once those guys are hitting well, it's like, you know what, I'm feeling good. I don't think I need anything right now. I'm good, and I'll wait, right? So those guys want to just protect what they've got at that point, and they don't want to mess up anything, or wagon wise. They don't want any other activity that's going to maybe affect what they're feeling or how they're playing at that time. So, yeah, the first of the rounds are the biggest and busiest activity that we see.
Yeah, I always get frustrated when superstition gets in the way of what I know about chiropractic science. But then I remember the strongest muscles between your ears, and maybe we shouldn't adjust them that day if they did. I don't think they should do
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah. And we keep them in that realm, right? Like, hey, if mentally you're feeling great and you feel like you're performing well, keep it rolling.
yeah, hands off.
And a
And
lot of times they don't know who we are, right? Like, since
mhm.
I've been around for the last 10 years now you're seeing guys, you're starting to see a pattern of guys that come in that regularly want to take advantage of chiropractic care. And so they're seeking you out during the rounds, you're seeking you out during the tournament. And so those guys will really kind of start focusing in and like what you do, right? Or if they have a chiropractor at home, they'll tell me a little bit about what they're doing at home so I can kind of match how they're being taken care of. So, but add that repetition of us seeing them and coordinating care with their home docs, boy, things are seamless for those guys, and it makes it really easy for them to accept care from somebody that they really don't know or that they've seen a little bit here year to year, right? So the trust factor becomes even better as time goes on. So the longevity of these players now on the tour and starting to see chiropractic care more evident at every tournament, now they can seek out the same guy that they've been seeing through the time frame, which is good for them. So continuity helps for these guys a lot.
You talked about that whole trust thing, and that's huge because,
Yeah.
like for us, we have the Pro Hockey Chiropractic Society where we all know each other, send notes to each other. But that's kind of what we're doing too in our ICA Sports and Fitness Science Council. We're trying to make a certificate to let the general public know that you've completed what you need to know in order to take care of athletes. And I'm really excited for us to launch that. So,
Yeah, and I think that gives the chiropractor a sense of confidence and a sense of understanding that you kind of need to have a little bit that helps you a little bit to define a little bit some of these injuries that these guys will get, and the kids and weekend warriors and the athletes of the young age in high school, right? I've seen a lot of things that they said in school you'd never see, right? You'll never see that. You'll never see that. You'll never see this. And you see it multiple times all the way through, in different sporting events and in different sporting activities that you perform with. But yeah, we've seen a lot of that kind of stuff. And so once you become familiar with some of that stuff around your sport that you may be participating in, you start to become familiar with the patterns that start to arise, right? And the patterns that people start developing and the coordinating and control of some of these muscle groups that now take over that start to create patterns in whatever their throw might be, their stick evaluation, their club swing. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can kind of evaluate and pick out when they start having patterns like this.
and that's part of the stuff that's going to give you the confidence. Talk about confidence too. You learn from our program. You're going to have that confidence, and the players pick up on that, right? Why did the team fire their coach? They lost the locker room because they lost their confidence. So if you walk in with the confidence that you're a sports chiropractor, you're supposed to be there, you know what you're doing. And again, the players, the only thing they own, all their investment when they make out of the sport is their body. That's
Yep.
all they have going for them. So if they know someone is an expert in their body, it's great.
Yeah, and who can afford to be out, right? Nobody can afford to be out. You talk about a high school athlete, and they lose 2 weeks or 3 weeks of their season. That could be up to 4 to 6 games, and so that's a lot of time. And so that's where you look at the prevention end, and the ability to be well is so much more advantageous for these athletes. And a lot of them get it. A lot of them understand that if I'm performing well going into my event, the likelihood of injury is less. and the ability to perform at a high level is way, way up there. And so that's what these guys want, that little edge that they can get. If they can cut a stroke, if they can get, just a little bit more distance so they can use a different club, man, it's a big deal. And they can use a club that they're confident with, right? So that's the other thing. So if they're dialing in, and my favorite thing on the range is the range really to watch, because you look at these guys, if you're a golfer of any ability and you go to the range at a pro event and watch what these guys can do, and watch, they hit 20 balls and the balls are exactly the same. They hit the same spot. It's amazing. And the funny thing is, you look at the range, and at a pro event, they have different circles and different greens that they kind of create into the practice field, right? So they got a 25, they got a 50, they got a 75, they got a 100. They got all these different little holes at different angles and different ranges all around through the practice team. And it's funny, you go to a public range and the balls are everywhere. You can't see any white, right? So at the pro events, you see all the balls are congregated right on all those holes that they've carved out of the practice range, which is amazing to me because these guys just can nail it. And it's just phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Well, what I like is you go to a PGA event, and I know they have everybody be quiet. You're outside, grass is meticulous, environment's beautiful. People are dressed nice. It's a real thing. It's an event to go to. It's a whole thing. But I also understand that you're not just working with golfers. You have another sport that you like to take chiropractic care to. And we're talking about seeing patterns in athletes, how they carry their stick, how they
Mm.
shoot their basketball with their shoulders rotated. But I got to imagine this other sport, and I got to work with these guys in my hometown a couple of times, so I have a little itty bitty firsthand experience. But I understand this other event, these other athletes you work with, you can see anything. And you want to tell us a little bit about what the event I'm talking about?
Yeah, you were talking about rodeo, right? Pro rodeo.
Yeah, absolutely,
So I've been
absolutely.
in Utah. Rodeo is a big event. It's part of the Western lifestyle, right? So when I first came to town and I practiced in Wisconsin prior to coming to Utah and deciding to open up my own practice in Utah, where my wife is from, rodeo is a big part of the way of life here. And every county fair has a rodeo. Every town usually has some kind of a rodeo during the year. So I created a niche, which was really cool at the time, pro sport chiropractic, and it used to be Wrangler. Used to, service a lot of events chiropractically. They're not doing as much anymore, but I still continue because that's where I started and I love it. And I've, created now a nice niche for that. So and I don't do as much as I used to do, but now in Utah, in my hometown, we have a rodeo, Cache County Rodeo. Then there's the next county over that has a rodeo, and then the state fair. Those are the ones that I kind of participate in now that I just have time for. But we used to go around the state all the time, me and another buddy of mine, and we used to perform. And really, that's what it was. We were performing really because you get a crowd around you that starts seeing what you're doing. One cowboy comes over and has the courage to come over to the table and ask for help. Once that happens, now you get a crowd of people that start happening, and all the guys start asking questions and start saying, "Hey, well, what about my shoulder? What about my wrist? Hey, I got knocked out yesterday," or "Hey, I don't know if my neck is broke, or I don't know if my shoulders, dislocated. I just don't know." So you start seeing a lot of things really quickly and very quick. It comes at you fast and hard. So it's really funny when you start seeing some of the patterns that you see with rodeo. These guys are holding on to a big animal and they're getting jerked around, and you're just like something with dental floss on your hand, right? Pretty much comparative. So you're seeing guys getting jerked around with elbows, shoulders, and they're doing some homemade tape, right? They're taping their cells, and that they're just trying to do the best that they can. So we can offer some suggestions to help them a little bit. They're grateful. This crowd is probably one of the most grateful crowds that you could ever work with. The rodeo crowd and the rodeo athletes, and the women too. The barrel racers all have a specific amount of activity as well that they have to deal with as well, which is kind of interesting. You wouldn't think that just riding a horse would be that big of an issue, right? These girls train a lot too, and now they're starting to have roping events for the ladies, and so called breakaway. And those girls are throwing the rope and from the back of the chute and hitting the neck of the animal and putting it around it in less than 2 seconds. Boom. So that kind of activity, when the gate drops, boom, they're ready to go. So it's the craziest sport on dirt, I think. And the mental aspect of the athlete is another component that you have to deal with. Because once they get hurt in the arena, they don't want any help. They don't want anybody knowing that they're hurt. The ego really takes over. And so, but once you get them behind the chute and you can admit like, hey, I got something going on, I want you to check it. That's a real trust factor again, because these guys don't know you. They're in town for an 8-second ride, a 3-second rope, whatever it might be. And so the longevity of you being there and being a part of an event is big. I've got guys that on the pro circuit that know that I'm going to be there, and they'll enter this event knowing that I'm going to be there to get care. And so that's kind of interesting and kind of a really neat compliment, really, when you start seeing these athletes and how much time they spend on the road. Their diet's not great. They get bucked off. They pay to be in the event. They get bucked off, or they get, something happens. They can't ride, and they get back in the truck and they get another 12 hours to get to the next event for another 8-second ride. So any care that you give these guys is, they're beyond excited and they feel good and they can function good and they feel like, hey, my ability to ride tonight is going to be much, much better. They're all over it. And they always ask, how much can I pay you? And it's complimentary. It's a
Mhm.
complimentary service I offer to these guys, and it has been for years. I always joke with them. I'm like, hey, I'll just take 10% when you win. And it's funny because I've had guys that, they always get adjusted and they'll always be in the top 2 to 3 when they come to the event. And it's just what it is. I don't know if it's a superstition, but they've got the superstition. They've got the activity that if I get adjusted, I know that at this event I'm going to win money. And so their mindset is already set that way and they're ready to go. And so when they come back, I had one guy bring me $100 when he got done. I'm like, hey, I don't need it, really. I don't. He goes, no, you've helped me for the last 10 years. I'm going to give you something. I'm like, well, that's very nice. And I'm going to donate it back to the rodeo. So that's kind of fun.
I lived in New England for part of my life and the Midwest the rest of my life. And when the rodeo came to Rockford, Illinois, and I got to help them out, I learned one thing that was important. I didn't wear slacks that day. I wore blue jeans that day to the events. And I also quickly learned, and I don't remember what it was, but I know I did it wrong. There's a way you lay your hat down when you get on the adjusting table because they handed me their hat and I realized I had put it down the wrong way. And I thought I did something horrible, horrible wrong. And I was quickly learned and taught that there's a certain etiquette. So before you take care of a sport, I do recommend you look up some of the etiquette of that sport.
Yep. And we have a
Just
hat
like,
rack that we have right on our tent that we kind of built in, that they just stick their hat right up there and they think it's pretty cool. So, and we have the sawdust down. I mean, you go from a PGA event in a trailer that's air conditioned and nice, all the way now to the dirt and the bugs and the flies right around you on the table, and it's hot and dusty, and there's mud and there's dirt and there's whatever else around you. You just do it. You just deal with it. It's fun. It's something different than your office. That's the one thing I enjoy the most about being a sports chiropractor, is the ability to now get to the sport right on the field, right? And to be able to provide care that's unique to athletes and to be able to provide it right at their event. There's nothing better than that. And to be able to see an athlete come back to your table after the event when they perform well and say, you know what, you helped me. Or, hey, I did really well today. Thank you. That's worth anything that any money could ever pay for you. And the other benefit is that, I've been there long enough that the rodeo announcers know who I am, and they'll always say something when somebody gets hurt in the arena. Hey, that boy needs to see Dr. Stucky. He's a chiropractor that's back here. I get that all the time. Or they'll announce me, pro bono, and I'll take care of them as well. But they'll always give me some advertisement and some marketing on there. So it pays you back. You cast your bread upon the waters, it comes back sandwiches. So you never are not acknowledged for your service somewhere down the line. And it's always, every year I get a patient from doing the rodeo somewhere, somehow. Someone said, hey, I heard your name at the rodeo. Hey, I've been going to the rodeo for the last 10 years. I see you there. I want you to take care of me. And so it always pays you back when you give. And that's the other nice thing I like about sport and what we have to offer in those venues. It does pay you back.
well, that and probably not the rodeo, but PGA, a lot of times, I know in
Mhm.
hockey, I'm the ambassador for chiropractic because the
Yep.
athlete in front of me's never heard of a chiropractor before, whether there's some part of some kind of Russia or something like that. They don't have chiropractic we do in North America. And so you're always an ambassador for the profession too, and you're help spreading chiropractic to more and more people through athletics. And I think that's a huge part of what we need to do as chiropractors.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brent. When you look at you look at even in your community, right? You've got a number of chiropractors. So you've got to shine well. And if you shine well and you present well and you have a very professional attitude and activity during that time, it again shines not only on you, but also the profession. So yeah, I take that very seriously as well. And I want to make sure that, we're presenting as well as we can, looking good, having our tents look good, and just all that stuff presents an image and presents a feeling of confidence that people will take away from what we do down the road too. Good point.
So that you want to learn more about working with teams and athletes, we want you to contact our ICA Sports and Fitness Science Council. We're going to come into your state association, your convention, and we're going to teach you some really cool hands-on techniques from some of the top sports chiropractors in the world. I learned so much the last working with these guys, even myself after doing this for 20 years. There's always more we can learn,
Yeah.
and we have each other to learn from. And not only that, but we're going to talk about stuff like this, like the business of being a sports chiropractor.
Yeah.
What are your realistic expectations? Dr. Stucky said he did not go out and buy a new boat after taking care of the rodeo. That's not why he does it.
Yeah, I think you've gone
So
poor as a result of that.
so we're going to talk more about the business of that and how to get involved in your local community too, because not everybody can be a Major League Baseball chiropractor because there's only so many teams. But we're going to talk about working in your community. So if you'd like more information on that, please go to chiropractic.org. That's the ICA's website, and you can find our council there. And you can contact the ICA, contact us directly, and we look forward to bringing our presentation, our show on the road to you. We'll do a little better than the rodeo guys, though. We won't just do it for 8 seconds, jump in a truck and drive 12 hours. We'll probably fly there, correct?
Correct.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. If Dr. Jon, do you have any final words you'd like to share with anybody? I'd like to give everyone the microphone one last time before we wrap up.
Hey, yeah, we got a lot of action, a lot of activity going to happen here, and we got a lot of energy that's good. So come and learn, come and enjoy. It's all about sharing, all about learning, and helping our communities do better.
And if you like what you heard today, please subscribe, please share. If you're listening to this podcast, you can go to the website, you can watch us. If you're watching this and you want to listen to it in your car, you can go to anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're available. ChiroCast is how you find us. Other than that, I'm just going to sign off here. And thanks, Dr. Stucky, for joining us. And watch for more to come. Thank you.